The stars above the frontier world of Varos twinkled like distant diamonds scattered across the endless black of space. From the surface, the sky seemed calm and silent, yet the people of Varos knew better. They lived on the edge of the galaxy, a place where empires of alien races fought for control, and no world was truly safe. For generations, their historians had told stories of humans, creatures who once ruled a corner of the galaxy with their strange courage and unpredictability. But the humans were gone. Extinct, many said, a species that had burned too bright and disappeared into myth. Varos was a small world, with sprawling deserts, jagged mountains, and scattered oceans that reflected the pale light of its sun. Its people were not warriors, they were traders, engineers, and dreamers, yet now all their skills mattered little. The looming shadow of the Draven Empire hung over the planet, a vast fleet of warships that had reduced dozens of worlds to rubble. Varos had nothing that could stop them. Their defenses were weak, their weapons outdated, and their soldiers few. Panic whispered through the cities, rising faster than the alarms that warned of approaching ships. High above Varos, the Draven command ships appeared like black specters against the stars. Their massive forms blotted out constellations, and their weapons glimmered with deadly energy. The leaders of Varos gathered in the central tower of the capital, a sleek building of glass and steel, watching their doom through wide observation windows. Governor Lyra Kestrel, a woman of steady hands and a calm voice, addressed her council. "We cannot hold them," she said softly, though every eye in the room focused on her. "Our weapons will not penetrate their shields. Our fleet is nothing compared to theirs. We are alone, and we must face the truth." His eyes, pale and clouded with age, gleamed with an intensity that startled the others. "The legends say the humans are not gone. They are out there, somewhere beyond the reach. Some believe they sleep in hiding, waiting. Others think the stories are just myths, but the coordinates exist. They are in the oldest records, hidden in a place no one thought to look." A single holographic map floated in the middle of the room, glowing faintly. Terran pointed at the edge of the known galaxy. "Here," he said. "Send a signal. If humans are still alive, they might respond. If they are truly legends, well, at least we tried." But she saw something in Terran's expression that made her pause. It was not hope alone, it was certainty. Perhaps it was foolish, perhaps it was desperation, but something told her that this attempt was worth more than waiting to die. "Prepare the transmission," she ordered. "Use everything we have, encryption, the entire planetary grid. Let it reach them if they exist." It was their last hope, a desperate call thrown across impossible distances. As the transmission prepared to launch, Terran spoke again, this time quieter, almost to himself. "Humans, they were never defeated, they simply vanished. A species that can survive what others cannot. They are the ones who could change everything." The Draven fleet continued its slow advance, confident and cruel, unaware that their prey had made a plea no one thought would matter. Hours turned into days. The cities prepared for occupation. Schools and markets emptied, citizens hiding in bunkers or fleeing to the mountains. The Draven ships began to orbit the planet, their massive engines stirring storms in the upper atmosphere. Their soldiers, insectoid in form and terrifying in discipline, scanned the surface for resistance. Everything on Varos seemed doomed. Yet something shifted in the darkness far beyond the reach. Deep space sensors, dormant for centuries, flickered to life aboard the long-abandoned human stations scattered at the edge of known space. Machines thought broken or forgotten hummed with power, responding to the faint pulse of Varos' signal. Ancient ships, cloaked in stealth and scars from battles long past, activated their engines. One by one, they rose from sleep, carrying crews that had never forgotten the galaxy they once knew. On Varos, no one noticed the first signs. Governor Kestrel walked through the capital streets, checking on refugees and soldiers. She felt the weight of failure pressing down on her shoulders. Every day that passed without the humans' arrival made the Draven conquest seem more inevitable. Children stared at the sky with wide eyes, hearing stories from parents about the great humans who were supposed to exist somewhere out there. It felt like magic, impossible yet comforting. The Draven fleet made its move. Ships descended, weapons raised, ready to crush Varos without mercy. Their commanders laughed at the sight of the primitive planetary defenses, mocking the tiny guns and shields that dared oppose them. Bombardment began. Cities shook under the power of alien energy beams. Fires spread, consuming buildings and forests alike. The people of Varos ran, prayed, and hoped, but the end seemed near. Then the first signal came. A bright flash of light, out of place and unexpected, appeared near the edge of the system. The Draven sensors, superior to any Varosian technology, detected it and paused in confusion. The light formed ships unlike anything the galaxy had seen in generations. Sleek, enormous, and armed in ways that no record had survived. Their energy signatures were strong but strangely unlike any known weapon. The Draven commanders called out orders, their voices trembling with uncertainty. Identify them, scan for species. Prepare for engagement. At first, many thought it was a trick of light, a hallucination born of fear. But as the ships descended, their outlines became clearer, massive vessels that seemed alive, powered by something more than engines. People ran to watch, mouths open in awe. Children laughed in disbelief, soldiers dropped their weapons in shock. The humans had arrived. Governor Kestrel could hardly believe her eyes. She rushed to the observation tower and watched the new fleet take position between Varos and the Draven invaders. No one fired a shot. No one spoke. Time seemed to hold its breath. The oldest historian, Terran, stood beside her, tears glistening in his eyes. "I told you," he whispered. "They never left." They were waiting, watching, knowing when the galaxy would need them again. They simply stood between Varos and destruction, silent and formidable. And in that silence, hope began to grow. The people of Varos who had believed themselves doomed felt it rise in their hearts for the first time in weeks. The humans were real. The legends had come alive. Terran watched the stars, a soft smile on his lips. "Let them come," he said quietly. "Let the galaxy see what humans truly are." The Draven commanders stared in disbelief. The humans were not attacking, they were watching, calculating, and preparing. And in that moment, every alien in the fleet understood one terrifying truth. The humans were not just survivors. They were legends come to life. The battle for Varos had not yet begun. The story of humanity's return had only just started. And the galaxy, which had forgotten the courage and strength of humans, would soon remember in a way no one could ignore. The Draven commanders scrambled across the bridge of their flagship, their multi-limbed forms moving with a mix of panic and precision. Every console beeped warnings of strange energy readings that no sensor had ever encountered. Weapons were misfiring, shields fluctuated, and the massive fleet that had once instilled fear now hesitated. Commander Rylax, a veteran of countless wars, slammed a clawed hand onto the nearest panel. "Report," he barked. "What are these ships? Why are our weapons failing?" "Our energy disruptors cannot lock. They are different, advanced in ways we do not understand." The humans remained in formation, silent and confident, neither fleeing nor attacking. Their presence alone changed the battle. On Varos, Governor Kestrel and her advisors watched the unfolding scene from the observation tower. Citizens had gathered in safe zones, looking to the sky with wide eyes. Fear still lingered, but hope began to blossom like fragile sunlight through clouds. Engineers and soldiers alike whispered in disbelief at what they were witnessing. The humans, creatures of legend, were real, and they had arrived not to conquer but to protect. Terran, the elderly historian, stood at Kestrel's side, trembling with excitement. "Do you see it?" he said. "Not just the ships, the humans themselves. They fight in ways the galaxy forgot. Strategy, cunning, patience. They are not reckless, they are not merely powerful, they think differently. They survive where others fail." These humans had long prepared for this moment, though centuries had passed since they last fought on this scale. Their ships bore scars from ancient battles, their engines hummed with technologies lost to the rest of the galaxy, and their weapons operated on principles no alien engineer could comprehend. They did not speak to the Draven fleet. There was no need. Every movement, every formation sent a message. Aboard one of the largest human ships, Captain Mara Jalen stared at the holographic display. She was human, yes, but not as Varos had imagined from myths. She was disciplined, trained, and aware of the power humans could wield, and the responsibility that came with it. "Maintain distance," she ordered. "We do not strike unless provoked. Let them learn their mistakes, protect Varos, show them humans are not myths, but do not give them cause to underestimate us further." Ships collided, miscalculated hyperspace jumps, and some even retreated in fear. The presence of the human fleet disrupted their formations in ways they could not predict. Draven officers shouted orders, their voices tinged with panic. "We should retreat," one screamed. They are not ordinary, we cannot defeat them." Retreat is weakness. Humanity is gone, legend or not. We are the Empire, strike harder. Children who had cowered moments before now dared to peek outside, watching the new hope hovering above their world. Among the human fleet, a single ship detached from the main formation and moved closer to the Draven flagship. It was a small vessel, sleek and fast, carrying only a handful of humans. They needed to assess the enemy to understand the minds behind the massive threat. Mara's voice carried over the comms. "Lieutenant Voss, take your team, learn their patterns, do not engage unless necessary." On the surface of Varos, people could feel the difference. Soldiers who had prepared for a hopeless battle felt their confidence grow. Engineers adjusted outdated weapons, preparing to support the humans if needed. Farmers, traders, and children whispered among themselves about the legends coming to life. Some fell to their knees, thanking whatever forces guided the humans to them. Back in the Draven command ship, Rylax struggled to maintain control. He watched the human fleet adapt in ways he had never imagined. Each formation anticipated attacks. Each move countered their strategy. And yet there was no aggression yet, no unnecessary cruelty, only preparation. A junior officer spoke, trembling. "Sir, they are protecting the planet, not attacking." Meanwhile, on Varos, Kestrel and Terran watched as one human ship glided above the city without firing a weapon. The ship scanned the planet, sending signals that only the humans could interpret. Engineers in the city realized these signals carried instructions, guiding them to strengthen shields, redirect energy, and prepare safe zones. The people of Varos worked quickly, astonished by the sudden coordination. Under the humans' subtle guidance, they transformed from helpless civilians into active participants in their defense. Farmers operated energy relays, students repaired weapon turrets, and builders strengthened critical structures. Every action was simple, every movement meaningful, guided by the wisdom of a species they had only known in stories. Draven ships tried to advance, but the humans anticipated every move. A fleet that had destroyed worlds with ease now struggled against humans who had not even fired a single shot. It was not brute strength, but intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to think like the enemy that gave humans the upper hand. As night fell on Varos, the sky was filled with the hum of energy shields and the faint glow of human ships. The Dravens tried one last massive strike, concentrating every weapon on the planet's capital. The humans responded by creating precise energy fields that redirected the blasts into space, harmlessly dispersing them. The aliens were stunned, their calculations proven useless. On the human bridge, Captain Mara watched the results. "They do not understand patience," she said softly. "They underestimate our ability to adapt. They fear what they do not comprehend. And that fear is already their weakness. Then we will show them that legends survive not by luck, but by foresight, courage, and unity." On Varos, citizens began to dare hope. They told stories to each other about the humans they had only believed in as myths. Children drew pictures of the strange ships in the sky, and elders whispered to neighbors about the legends that had become reality. Fear still lingered, but it was tempered by awe and gratitude. By dawn, the first human engagement team returned to the main fleet. They had gathered intelligence, tested the limits of Draven technology, and confirmed that the humans could control the battlefield without direct combat. Mara addressed her fleet, her voice steady, calm, and full of determination. "We have arrived. We are here to protect, to teach, and to survive. The galaxy has forgotten humans, but it will remember again. Today is not the end. Today is the beginning." They were not legends of old stories anymore. They were alive, aware, and ready to defend life itself. For Varos, for the galaxy, the impossible had arrived. The humans had not attacked, yet the Draven fleet was in chaos. Ships collided in empty space, their commanders shouting orders that could not be executed. Energy beams misfired, shields flickered, and the aliens realized that raw power alone could not overcome what they did not understand. The human fleet was a ghostly force, moving with intelligence and patience, controlling the battlefield without firing a single shot, yet making every alien feel the weight of their presence. On the planet below, Varos had begun to recover from the initial shock of invasion. Soldiers moved with renewed confidence, civilians operated emergency systems, and the energy grids hummed in perfect synchronization with the human fleet above. Terran watched with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "It is not just their ships," he whispered to Governor Kestrel. "It is them. Humans think differently. They see opportunities where others see only danger. They are legends in thought, not just in story." In the human fleet, Captain Mara Jalen addressed her officers in the command chamber of the largest ship. The holographic displays of the Draven fleet flickered before them. They are organized, yes, but overconfident, Mara said. They rely on numbers, not strategy. Their instincts are flawed and they underestimate patience. That is their weakness. We can exploit that, Captain. They will make mistakes if we do not provoke them. We can protect Varos without engaging in full battle. Commander Rylax on the flagship ordered a direct assault on one of the human vessels that had drifted closer to their formation. Energy cannons powered up, the air in the alien bridge filled with tension. "Destroy that ship," Rylax commanded. "Show them the strength of the Draven Empire." Their ship, a sleek craft smaller than most in the fleet, moved almost lazily, yet every motion was calculated. As the Draven weapons fired, the human vessel shifted its trajectory, using a combination of stealth maneuvers and energy fields that the aliens could not detect. Every blast from the Draven cannons missed, striking empty space. The human vessel glided like a shadow, untouchable yet present. Varos' citizens watched in amazement. They can't be hit," a young boy whispered to his mother, eyes wide with wonder. Fires had begun to die down in the city, and hope filled the streets once more. Meanwhile, Captain Mara observed the Draven flagship. It was massive, bristling with weapons and armor. If the humans struck directly, the damage would be catastrophic. But Mara knew that patience could be more powerful than brute force. The humans would outthink the enemy, and the Dravens would collapse under their own assumptions. The first human engagement team had already begun subtle attacks. They targeted the alien fleet's support systems, navigation grids, power relays, and communication lines. Each strike was precise, designed not to destroy but to confuse, slow, and frustrate. The Dravens found themselves fighting not only humans they could not see but also a battlefield they could not control. Rylax bellowed in frustration as reports poured in. "Their shields our weapons cannot penetrate. Their movements are coordinated. How is this possible? This is some trick, some legend brought to life to mock us." On Varos, civilians had joined in subtle ways. Engineers operated defensive turrets, guided by human signals. Farmers ran energy relays to stabilize shields. Children acted as messengers, carrying information across the city as the humans above used signals to coordinate efforts. Varos was no longer defenseless. It had become part of the strategy, a living extension of the human fleet. As the day progressed, small but crucial victories began to appear. Draven ships collided while attempting to maneuver around the humans, subtle manipulations. Energy grids overloaded on their command ships due to precise human strikes, and panic spread like wildfire. Rylax had expected an easy victory, yet his fleet was crumbling without a single human vessel being destroyed. Aboard the human flagship, Mara spoke to her crew, voice calm but firm. "We are not invincible, but we are prepared. The Dravens will panic. They will make mistakes. When they do, we must be ready to act decisively, but only to protect, never to dominate. That is what makes us human." Humans had survived countless wars, countless threats, and countless empires. They had endured not by being the strongest, but by being clever, adaptable, and united. That history flowed through every decision they made now. Voss reported on Draven behavior. "They are splitting their forces. Some are retreating. Others are trying to regroup, but their coordination is failing. They are trapped by their own arrogance." Entire sections of their fleet miscalculated hyperspace jumps, ending up scattered in dangerous proximity to one another. Mara observed it silently, letting their mistakes unfold naturally. Finally, a critical moment arrived. The Draven flagship attempted a full assault on the city's energy core, hoping to destroy Varos in one devastating strike. The human fleet responded instantly, a web of energy barriers surrounding the city and dispersing the attack harmlessly into orbit. The humans did not retaliate aggressively. They simply protected the planet, proving their superiority without slaughter. On the ground, Kestrel and Terran watched in disbelief. The city had survived the assault, intact and defended. Varos had not only endured, but its people had actively participated in their defense, guided by the humans. Soldiers cheered, civilians cried in relief, and children clapped at the sight of the mysterious fleet above. Rylax, meanwhile, felt the full weight of failure. His pride, arrogance, and confidence had been shattered. The Dravens had assumed humans were extinct, myths told to warn against overconfidence. Now they understood that humans were not just alive, they were superior in thought, strategy, and resilience. A young Draven officer approached Rylax, voice trembling. "Sir, we cannot win. They are too clever. They anticipate everything. We should retreat." Patience, strategy, and unity could topple even the greatest empires. And humans, guided by centuries of survival and ingenuity, were unmatched. The day ended with the Draven fleet partially scattered and disorganized, their morale shattered. Varos remained standing, its people alive, its cities intact, and its hope renewed. The human fleet hovered silently above, not celebrating, not boasting, only watching, calculating, ready to act if needed. On the surface, Governor Kestrel turned to Terran, her voice filled with gratitude and awe. They are incredible, not just for their power, but for how they fight, how they think. We owe our survival to them. They are humans, he said simply. They were never gone, and now the galaxy will remember. The galaxy had long forgotten the cunning, the courage, and the endurance of humanity. But no one would forget again. And as night fell on Varos, stars glimmering above, it became clear the humans were no longer myths. They were alive, aware, and ready to defend the galaxy when it needed them most. The first true engagement was over, but the war and the demonstration of humanity's brilliance was only beginning. The morning sun rose over Varos, casting a pale glow across a world that had survived the impossible. Fires still smoldered in the cities, but the people no longer ran in fear. Soldiers stood at their posts with renewed confidence, engineers tended to failing equipment, and civilians moved through the streets, repairing what they could and helping the wounded. Above them, the human fleet hung like guardians, silent yet formidable, a constant reminder that the legends were real. Captain Mara Jalen observed the planet from the bridge of her flagship. The Draven fleet was scattered, disorganized, and terrified. Every ship that had tried to attack was either damaged or fleeing. The humans had proven that raw strength alone could not overcome intelligence, patience, and coordination. Yet Mara knew the battle was not over. The Draven still had numbers, still had pride, and still sought revenge. "Lieutenant Voss," Mara said, her tone calm and steady, "prepare teams for targeted interventions. We will continue to protect Varos, but now we can begin shaping the battlefield. Let them understand that humans are more than myths. They are the reckoning. Our focus will be precision, efficiency, and minimizing destruction to the planet." Some used stealth to disable engines and weapons, while others manipulated energy fields to redirect attacks harmlessly into space. Every action demonstrated mastery, discipline, and a clarity of purpose that the Dravans could not comprehend. On Varos, citizens watched in awe as small human ships moved gracefully among the alien vessels. Engineers and soldiers on the ground adjusted their defenses in response to signals from the humans above, creating a perfect synergy between planet and fleet. For the first time, the people of Varos felt like active participants in their survival rather than helpless bystanders. The Draven commanders, however, grew more desperate by the hour. Their pride would not allow retreat, and their arrogance blinded them to the reality of the situation. Commander Rylax, furious and exhausted, shouted orders across his flagship. "Concentrate your fire, strike with everything we have. Humans cannot defeat us. They are myths, illusions. We will crush them." Instead, they used strategy to force the Dravens into traps of their own making. Entire formations were guided into corridors of space where weapons would collide harmlessly, engines would fail, or ships would be cut off from support. The Dravens fought as best they could, but every strike was countered before it could land, and every maneuver was anticipated. Captain Mara moved to the communications console. "We do not seek to kill unnecessarily," she said to her officers. "Our goal is to protect Varos and teach the galaxy what humans are capable of. Precision and patience will win this battle, not rage or fear. Not just for their power, but for how they fight. Every move is deliberate, every action has purpose. That is why they were feared in the past, and why they are feared again." The Dravans, unable to comprehend the humans' strategy, panicked and attempted reckless attacks only to be neutralized without destruction. Mara watched the progress carefully. "Focus on containment," she ordered. "Do not engage directly unless necessary. Let them understand the futility of their actions. Let their arrogance be their undoing." Human ships moved around the Draven flagship like shadows, intercepting attacks, cutting off escape routes, and ensuring that the aliens could not coordinate. From above Varos, the planet's defenders could see the precision of human tactics, and hope turned into belief. The Draven flagship's commander, realizing his fleet was failing, became reckless. He ordered a direct assault on Varos' energy core, hoping to force the humans into open combat. The humans responded instantly, creating an energy barrier that shielded the planet while redirecting the alien assault into space. No civilians were harmed, no structures destroyed, yet the message was clear. Humans controlled the battlefield, not the Dravens. On the surface, Kestrel and Terran observed the city's defenses. Engineers operated emergency energy relays, soldiers manned turrets, and civilians worked together seamlessly under human guidance. Every person contributed to the protection of their world, demonstrating the unity and ingenuity the humans inspired. In space, Mara moved to the edge of the Draven fleet. She signaled a single human vessel to approach the flagship. The crew understood immediately. This was not a reckless attack. It was a demonstration of human courage, precision, and strategy. The small ship moved swiftly, dodging attacks and interfacing with the alien vessel systems in ways no Draven could anticipate. Inside the Draven flagship, alarms blared as systems failed one by one. Energy weapons misfired, shields fluctuated, and communications broke down. The humans had not destroyed the ship. They had taken control of the battlefield, showing the Dravens the limits of their technology and pride. Rylax's eyes burned with fury. "Impossible," he roared. "Humans cannot exist. They cannot do this. Stop them." The humans had demonstrated their superiority without a single unnecessary kill. The Dravens were trapped, panicked, and demoralized. Their fleet scattered, and their flagship was isolated and disabled. On Varos, the citizens cheered as reports came in. Their planet had survived the full assault of the Draven Empire. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians all realized they had played a role in their defense, guided by humans who had become more than legends. They were protectors, strategists, and heroes. Captain Mara addressed her fleet. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Varos is safe, but the galaxy still faces threats. We will continue to protect, to guide, and to demonstrate what humans can do. Patience, intelligence, and unity will always prevail over arrogance and brute force." Planets that had never seen human technology began to detect signals, strange readings, and the subtle influence of a species thought extinct. Humans were no longer just legends. They were living proof that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could defy any expectation. The Dravens retreated, battered, humiliated, and unwilling to admit defeat. Their arrogance had led them into a trap, and their fleet had been tested in ways no one expected. The humans had not sought vengeance. They had sought to protect, to demonstrate, and to remind the galaxy why humans had once been feared and respected. On Varos, Terran turned to Kestrel. "They are not just warriors," he said softly. "They are teachers, showing the galaxy that intelligence, patience, and courage are greater than firepower alone." Humans had returned to the galaxy not to conquer, but to protect, to survive, and to remind everyone that legends were real. The battle had been won without unnecessary destruction, yet the message was clear. Humans were back, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. As night fell over Varos, the sky glimmered with the light of human ships. Citizens walked among ruins, repairing, rebuilding, and celebrating survival. Soldiers trained under the guidance of humans, and engineers continued to strengthen the city's defenses. Humanity's return had changed everything. And somewhere in the heart of the human fleet, Captain Mara allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had long forgotten humans, but now it would remember. Patience, strategy, and courage had prevailed. Legends had become reality. For Varos, and for the rest of the galaxy, the impossible had been achieved. Humanity had returned, and their presence alone had shifted the balance of power. The Dravens had learned a harsh truth: underestimating humans was the gravest mistake an empire could make. And as the stars shone above the recovered city, one thought echoed across the minds of those who witnessed it. The humans had come not to dominate, but to show the galaxy what it meant to survive, adapt, and prevail. The Draven fleet was scattered and broken, its pride shattered. Ships that had once seemed invincible drifted in space, crippled, engines smoking, and crews in disarray. Commander Rylax sat in stunned silence on his flagship, his compound eyes narrowing at the human fleet above Varos. His arrogance, his belief that humans were myths, had led to defeat. Now he faced a species alive, calculating, and more formidable than anything the galaxy had ever known. Captain Mara Jalen surveyed the battlefield from her flagship. The humans had not sought destruction, only protection, yet their presence alone had reshaped the war. Varos was safe, its people alive, and the Dravens had learned a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for generations. Mara's mind was already planning the next steps. Humans did not strike recklessly, they acted with patience, precision, and purpose. Lieutenant Voss approached, reporting on the Draven movements. They are trying to regroup, Captain, but their coordination is failing. Many are abandoning their ships entirely. Their morale is gone. If we act now, we can prevent further conflict without unnecessary casualties. Disable their remaining combat capability, but ensure the safety of civilians and neutral vessels. We are not executioners, we are protectors. Massive energy pulses short-circuited key systems, leaving the aliens helpless without harm to life on board. Ships drifted powerless in space, a testament to human ingenuity and discipline. On Varos, the citizens watched the final phase unfold. Soldiers manned turrets, civilians relayed emergency power, and engineers monitored energy grids. Every action was synchronized with the human fleet above, and the people felt the surge of hope turn into awe. They realized that the humans were not only saving them but teaching them, showing what unity, intelligence, and courage could achieve. Terran stood beside Governor Kestrel, eyes wide. "They are perfect in coordination," he whispered. "Every action calculated, every risk measured." Humans, they have always been like this. This is why they were feared, why they survived when empires fell. Captain Mara observed silently as Lieutenant Voss and his crew prepared for a direct engagement, not to attack, but to assert dominance and secure the enemy without unnecessary bloodshed. The ship approached with precise calculations, threading through the crippled enemy vessels, untouchable yet deliberate. Inside the Draven flagship, alarms blared. Commander Rylax's claws trembled on the control panels. "Impossible. They cannot do this. Humans cannot exist. They are myths. They are legends." His fleet was powerless against the minds and tactics of a species that had survived countless wars and mastered the art of adaptation. The humans aboard the small vessel interfaced with the Draven flagship systems, neutralizing remaining weapons and engines. Energy grids powered down, communications cut off, and the massive ship was rendered harmless. The Dravens, faced with their own impotence, could do nothing but watch as humans demonstrated mastery over the battlefield without firing a single shot of destruction. Back on Varos, Kestrel and Terran observed the final moments of the conflict. "They are teaching them a lesson," Kestrel said quietly. "Not just that humans are alive, but that power alone is meaningless without wisdom and discipline. They survive, they adapt, and they teach others to rise with them." Humans had returned, not to conquer, but to protect and preserve life, to remind the galaxy why they had once been feared and respected. Mara addressed her fleet. "Mission accomplished. Varos is safe, and the Dravens are neutralized. Return to standard positions, maintain vigilance, and continue to assist the planet. Humanity's presence must remain a shield, not a threat." The humans had not only saved their world, they had reminded everyone of the potential for courage, intelligence, and unity to overcome impossible odds. Terran turned to Kestrel, voice shaking. "The galaxy has forgotten humans for too long. Today, they will remember. They will never underestimate us again. They will never underestimate humans again. And we will teach our children that humans are not just history or myth. They are protectors, guides, and the living proof of what courage and wisdom can achieve." Every action was precise, efficient, and deliberate. Not a single life was taken unnecessarily. The humans had returned not as conquerors, but as the guardians of peace and justice. Lieutenant Voss approached Mara on the bridge. "They will spread the story, Captain. Every planet, every colony. They will know humans are real, and they will fear and respect us accordingly. Let them also remember why humans survive. Not through domination, but through patience, strategy, and courage. We protect, we endure, and we inspire. That is our power." Historians, scientists, and explorers began to notice patterns, strange disruptions, and subtle manipulations that could only be attributed to a species long thought extinct. The humans had returned, and their presence would forever alter the balance of power. On Varos, citizens rebuilt their cities with guidance from human signals and instructions. Soldiers trained under the subtle leadership of human advisors, learning tactics, discipline, and patience. Engineers upgraded the energy grids and weapon systems with precision, guided by the knowledge imparted by humans above. The world was not only saved, but strengthened, transformed into a beacon of resilience and cooperation. Commander Rylax, defeated and humiliated, retreated into the void of space. His fleet scattered, broken, and demoralized, a stark reminder of the consequences of underestimating a species thought extinct. The Dravans would return someday, perhaps, but the memory of humans' return, their patience, their intelligence, and their courage would haunt them forever. Captain Mara observed the stars, her eyes calm and steady. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy had seen what they were capable of. They had survived, adapted, and demonstrated that legends were real, not by brute force alone, but by intelligence, courage, and unity. The galaxy would never forget the return of humans. On Varos, Governor Kestrel and Terran looked up at the night sky, glowing with the light of human ships. "They have changed everything," Kestrel said. "Our world, our people, the galaxy itself, they have shown us what it means to endure and protect. And today, they have reminded us that courage, wisdom, and unity can overcome even the greatest threats." Legends had walked among the stars again, alive, aware, and determined to defend life wherever it was threatened. The night over Varos was quiet now, peaceful and filled with stars. The human fleet hovered like a promise, a silent guardian for a world that had seen the impossible and survived. The people of Varos would never forget this day, and neither would the galaxy. Legends had returned, and humanity would never be underestimated again.